Good morning, folks. I'm Perry Eliadarani, and thank you for joining us right here on KTK and Fox 51. Now, we want to take you to some breaking news out of Cherokee County this morning, where the sheriff's office is about to hold a press conference on a quadruple homicide just north of Summerfield, and that is beginning right now, so we're going to take you right to him.
Y'all see him? Everybody else? Everybody good? Thank you all for coming out today. I want to start by giving my condolences to the family and friends of the victims. This was a tragic and ruthless killing. It was a senseless killing. I want to thank the members of the U.S. Marshal Services out of Tyler, the Texas Rangers, the East Texas Anti-Gang out of Tyler, Homeland Security, and most importantly, the men and women of Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. From our jailers to our dispatchers who took the 911 phone call, to our patrol who was first on scene, and to our detectives who worked tirelessly through the night to make sure these individuals were apprehended. I'd like to thank Sheriff Larry Smith for reaching out and offering his services, along with Chief Joe Williams of Jacksonville and Texas House Representative Travis Clardy. On July 21st, 2021, Cherokee County Sheriff's Office received a 911 phone call at approximately 7:50 in reference to a deceased person in a driveway. EMS and patrol was dispatched to the scene. Upon arrival, it was discovered that the individual was deceased from apparent gunshot wounds. That individual was identified as 18-year-old John Clinton. Upon securing the scene, patrol and detectives began to search the rest of the property. We came upon a residence at the back of the property. Upon securing it, we located 3 more individuals inside that were found to be deceased from apparent gunshot wounds. Them individuals are Jeff Gerla, 47 years of age, Amy Hickey, 39 years of age, and Amanda Bain, 39 years of age. From that point, the Texas Rangers were called in, along with Cherokee County's Criminal Investigation Division. They began to process the scene, while Cherokee County Special Investigative Unit and the Texas Rangers and the U.S. Marshals began to follow up on tips and track down possible suspects. At approximately 5:30 yesterday evening, 3 individuals were located at 209 Devereaux Street in Jacksonville. While watching the residence, 2 of the individuals left in a vehicle. They were subsequently stopped by patrol and taken into custody for unrelated charges, and 1 voluntarily came to the sheriff's office. While they were on that traffic stop, the U.S. Marshals and our Special Investigative Unit went to 209 Devereaux, made contact with a third party, and arrested him on unrelated charges and brought him to the sheriff's office. Once at the sheriff's office, interviews were conducted with all 3, which led to search warrants at 1016 West Rusk in Jacksonville. At that location, the vehicle that was stolen from the crime scene was located, along with a handgun we believe that was used to commit the homicides. From there, we went to 9110 Highway 79 in Jacksonville. That is the Castle on the Lake RV Park. We ran a search warrant on one of the residents' home there and located more property that was stolen from the crime scene. At this time, we have 3 people in custody for capital murder. We presented Judge Chris Day, the 2nd District Judge, with capital murder warrants during the night. And we have a murder warrant issued for Dylan Welch, who is now in custody for capital murder. He's a 21-year-old male out of Jacksonville. We now have Billy Phillips in custody for capital murder. He's a 37-year-old male out of Jacksonville. And we now have Jesse Pulaski who is a 20-year-old male out of Jacksonville, in custody for capital murder. I'll take any questions at this time.
Has there been a motive determined yet?
We believe it's going to be robbery at this time.
Did any of these people know the people that they...
We do know that Mr. Pulaski had a relationship of some sort with one of the deceased.
Can you say which?
I believe it was Clinton, Mr. Clinton.
We had heard that they had some kind of, as you mentioned, previous relationship, and then maybe he might have been upset that he was seeing someone else. Is there any truth to that?
We heard that as well, but we don't believe that. Everything in our investigations lead us to a robbery, which turned into a multi-homicide.
Can you talk about one of the bodies was in the driveway, we were in the house? What were the circumstances that led to the victim being in the driveway versus in the house?
We believe they were meeting with the suspects out there in the driveway when the first person was killed. And then
What you're saying?
we believe the deceased in the driveway was meeting with our suspects in the driveway, and that's when he was shot and killed, and then it moved into the residence.
Is it believed, since the other people in the house were found in bedrooms, were they in bed? Were they believed to have been asleep when they were killed?
I believe that one of them was, and the other two were reacting to what we believe would have been gunshots in the residence.
Initially, there wasn't much information about things that were stolen. Do you know more about what was taken from the house?
We know that they stole the vehicle originally, and then through the investigation and the interrogations, they stole clothes and guns from inside the residence.
Clothes?
Clothes and guns.
Can you give us some information about how the first body was discovered?
There's two homes on that property. There's a lady who lives in the first home. She was coming out to pick up her paper and located the deceased in the driveway.
What is that woman's relationship with the rest of the four victims that we now know?
I believe she's a family member of one of the deceased.
She would be the mother or?
I believe so. I believe the mother of one of them and the grandmother.
Have you identified the deceased yet?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we just read them off. It's going to be John Clinton, Jeff Gurla, Amy Hickey, Amanda Bain.
Garland is the woman who lived in the house is named Garland.
Yes, sir.
So of these three here, do you know who was one person the primary shooter, the other two were just kind of there, or do you have information on that?
We're still working on that, on the investigative side of that.
And did all three of them, do we know, flee in the car, or?
They took separate vehicles. Well, they took a vehicle out there, and then when they stole the vehicle, they left in two separate vehicles.
You said some things were recovered from the home. Can you tell us?
From the suspect's residence, yes, they located some clothing items that were stolen from that residence in the suspect's home.
Was there any activity at the original property in that brick house, or was it just?
It was only at the secondary residence on the property.
Crimes are strange, I understand that, but 4 people were killed over something that seems decently murder.
Yes, sir.
Was there anything else, rage, something else that would have caused somebody to kill?
Everything we're finding right now is leading us to the robbery side of it.
Do you believe they showed up with intent to do that?
I believe they showed up with intent to rob them, and then it escalated and went from there.
Have we determined if the gun that was used belonged to the victims, or did the suspect bring it in?
We do believe it belonged to the victim at this time.
And how was just one gun used?
Yes, sir.
You know what kind of gun?
I believe it was a handgun. I believe a 9mm handgun.
And do you know anything about if any of these three have a previous criminal history, whether they recently were released from jail or Jesse?
I know Jesse and Billy do have a criminal history. I do not know exactly what it is today. I'm unsure on Welch.
You don't know if he was recently released from prison?
Welch, I'm unsure. Now, Billy was.
What relationship of the 3 men that have been charged, were they
Jesse and Billy, I believe, were friends through Jesse's mother, and then Dylan is just an associate.
What was the information that helped you obtain these arrests?
We received a tip from the public, and then our SIU unit followed up on that tip, which brought them into the sheriff's office and led us to be able to interrogate them, where one of them confessed to the murders.
So, I'm sorry, you said one of them did confess?
Confessed to being involved.
Did all three, or
Just one of them.
do you know which one?
Jesse.
You had mentioned yesterday that this is the first time in the history of the department that y'all have handled a quadruple homicide. In recent years, how many cases have y'all handled double murder?
I don't know the numbers offhand. We handle usually on average 1 to 2 murders every year.
So would it be safe to assume that even though we just had a guy that was on trial for murder in a separate case 2 years ago, 3 years ago in New Summerfield, that really New Summerfield is not a hotbed of activity? Can we assume that?
No, it's definitely not a hotbed of activity. You have bad people everywhere you go, and today it was in New Summerfield, and with these 3 behind bars, we know they won't be involved in that anymore. Our community can sleep a little safer tonight, thanks to the men and women of law enforcement and the good community members that assisted us getting here.
Was there any indication that the victims tried to fire back? Or?
No, ma'am. So.
You mentioned yesterday about the relationships. I'm a little just confused about that, so I would just like some clarification. You've got a mother and a son. Who's the mother and who's the son?
The mother is going to be, I believe it's going to be Amy Hickey and John Clinton.
And then who was in a relationship, and how did y'all figure out or determine that there was a relationship there?
There was 2 relationships going on within the residence. I believe it's going to be same-sex relationships.
So between like John Clinton and Jesse Colson?
Yes, I believe so.
That's what I was a little confused
Yes.
about. So
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any indication that Jesse was mad about something that they did? Were they separated?
Not to our knowledge at this time. So we still have several search warrants to conduct today, and we're still going to continue the investigation. We've got them behind bars now, so we can slow down a little bit, continue with the search warrants, continue with the investigation, get all the pieces together, so the district attorney's office can prosecute them.
Do we think anyone else was involved besides these 3?
Not at this time.
Now, because there were same-sex relationships involved, is hate crime being looked at as a possible?
We don't believe it was for a hate crime. We believe their intent was strictly robbery, not due to their nature.
Is there any reason to believe there were drugs involved? Were they trying to get money because?
We don't have anything to lead us to believe that there was drugs involved, but I would indicate that the 3 we have in custody are drug users. Yes, sir.
So just to confirm, one of the suspects was previously involved in some kind of relationship with one of the victims?
Now, whether it was friends, sexual, or what, they were associates. Yes, sir.
What has it been like, these past 24 hours for your department? I mean, it's not every day that you have something like this, so can you talk about just the, staffing and just...
Our department came in yesterday morning at 8 o'clock, and members of our department left here at 4 last night and are back here at 9 o'clock this morning working, assuring that all the pieces fall together in this case, that we keep these guys behind bars and that we give justice to the family members.
Did it surprise you to see this case wrap up so quickly, considering the nature of it?
Yes, due to the fact that every witness we had on scene was deceased. Our crew really worked good together. We had a lot of good outside sources come in and help us, and the community really stepped up and helped us out.
Were there really any witnesses to this? Were they even get help from neighbors?
No, sir. There was 0 witnesses there on scene.
There was an elderly woman at the house at the time. Did she say anything about hearing gunshots?
No, sir.
So was she actually home, the witness actually home that all night? We've heard that maybe she had been working and come back and found...
No, she was home.
You said there's still work to do. What's left? What are you doing?
Yesterday we brought in 2 vehicles. We'll continue with search warrants on them. We'll continue with interviews as far as family, friends, videotapes from locations. We'll just continue the investigation.
Does this appear to be a well-planned thing or more spontaneous?
I believe the robbery was planned, and I believe the murder turned into spontaneous.
What happens now in the county? How do you ensure, I mean, this is obviously, do you have anything to say to the community members that are watching this? I mean, as far as safety in the community and everything like that.
Our safety, our citizens are definitely safer tonight with these people off the street. We've got a great group of men and women in our department and within our local and outside agencies that work tirelessly every day to protect and serve this community. And we've saw in the last 24 hours that they're dedicated to this community and willing to go above and beyond to assure that they're safe and sound. We can't be everywhere at once, but we're going to do everything we can to protect them at all costs.
Has the DA's office given you any indication of an initial hearing?
No, they haven't. They haven't been arraigned yet. They'll see the judge this morning and be arraigned and start that court process.
Is it Judge Day?
Judge Day is the one who issued the warrants.
Being held at the county jail?
They will be held at the county jail.
Any idea of what their sentencing might look like?
Ultimately they're looking at the death penalty or life in prison if found convicted of capital murder.
Are the Texas Rangers still involved?
Yes, they are.
What's their role right now?
They'll continue with the investigative part of the investigation, assisting in processing vehicles and conducting interviews.
And so one's confessed, the other 2, what are you hearing from them? Are they saying they didn't do it, or what? They're just not talking?
They're all saying different things, and so.
Do you have any better idea of the sequence of what may have happened that night?
I'm gonna, for prosecution purposes, I'm not gonna release that at this time.
We had mentioned earlier at the press conference that you were not ready to reveal, cannot reveal about how many gunshots perhaps the victims had suffered. Is that something you're comfortable with?
And we still don't know that at this time. The autopsies haven't been conducted yet. They'll be conducted in Dallas today or tomorrow.
Can you say whether they were shot more than once?
It ranges different from each individual, but without knowing the full autopsy, we can't say for sure.
Why Dallas?
We use Dallas on major crimes just for their expertise and their extra level of field.
Is there any indication why, if they were just meeting in the driveway with this one suspect, why they needed to go further back to the mobile home and kill the other 3 as well?
Just for the robbery purposes is what we believe.
They just didn't want any witnesses?
They were continuing their robbery and didn't want witnesses, what we're assuming.
And they were only going for the people in the mobile home, not that brick home?
Yes.
Please forgive me if you've already said this, but who was on the driveway?
John Clinton,
John.
the 18-year-old male.
And as far as the 911 call that you received yesterday morning, can you tell us what the nature of that is?
The lady in the residence called and stated that there was a deceased person or some subject she believed to be deceased laying in the driveway.
And that's the woman who lives in the house?
Yes. Yes, sir.
She was not aware of anything else
No, sir.
in the back?
No, sir. Not at that time.
And then just because there were lots of names and ages, could we just go through each of them with a spelling and an age again, please, for confirmation?
Yes. Jesse Pulaski, 20-year-old male, JESSEPAWLOWSKI. Billy Phillips, BILLY, PHILLLPS, 37 years of age. Dylan Welch, DYLANWELCH, 21 years of age.
And is it possible to get victims' spellings as well?
Yes. The deceased, John Clinton, JOHN CLINTON, 18 years of age. Jeff Gerla, 47 years of age, JEFFGERLA. Amy Hickey, AMIHICKEY, 39 years of age. Amanda Bain, AMANDABAIN, 39 years of age.
Did any of the victims have criminal run-ins with Cherokee County?
Not to my knowledge.
How old is Jeff?
Jeff was 47 years of age.
Where are the suspects from? Residents?
They were all living within Jacksonville or on the outskirts of Jacksonville.
Cherokee County?
Yes.
And is that what led you back? Because I know yesterday we were told maybe the car was spotted there. Was there like a specific moment where you were like, we know it's going to be there, or just?
Just some of the tips that were coming in led us to believe that they were in the Jacksonville vicinity or from the Jacksonville area.
And then you said that it led you to the Castle on the Lake RV Park. So you guys got a search warrant for relocated, extra property and everything like that. Who lived there?
That was going to be the residence of Billy Phillips.
Was there any single piece of information or evidence that you would consider key to solving this particular crime?
No, it all plays a big part in it. The investigative part of it, the crime scene part of it, the interviews, it all intertwines together and plays a huge role in it.
And so right now you're still not sure. You're still working to determine if there was one of these three that did the shooting, or do you know multiple?
Yeah, we're still working to figure out if it was multiple people who did the shooting on scene or if it was just one.
But we think it was just one gun being used.
Yes. Yes.
But all three are charged with capital.
All three are charged with capital murder.
You had mentioned there were two houses that you were the ones you arrested, were they the owners of these houses, or were they relatives?
The 209 Devereaux belonged to the family members of Jesse Pulaski, and then the residence located on the Castle on the Lake belonged to the Phillips subject, Billy Phillips.
What's the spelling of Deborah?
I'll get that for you whenever we're out of here.
Was the trailer that was at the murder scene, is that a real home of that brick house?
I'm unsure.
Just a real home?
Yes, I'm unsure at this time. Everyone good?
Do you have a release to hand out to us?
We will get it to you via email. So, and thank you all for your help. Thank you to the community for your help. Most importantly, once again, I want to thank all of our law enforcement personnel here.
All right, and we are just now closing out on the Cherokee County Sheriff as he is giving us an update on that quadruple homicide. A lot of things we just learned from that press conference, so let's get right back into it and update you for maybe some of you folks who are just joining us now. First of all, we do have 4 victims, 4 people who were killed in this tragic event. We've got Amanda Bain, she's age 39. We've got Amy Hickey, and she's age 39 as well. We've got Jeff Gerla, he's age 47, and John Clinton, who is 18. And unfortunately, we do know more too about the people who took their lives, according to the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, and we have their names as well. We've got Dylan Welch, and he is age 21. Jesse Pulaski, and he is age 20. And Billy Phillips, and he is age 37. All 3 of those men charged with capital murder, according to the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Now, they say that only 1 gun was used in this attack, and they don't know exactly how it all happened yet. That's still part of their investigation, so something they're still exploring. But we'll go ahead and recap how they say it all went down, because they first got a call, this was yesterday, by a woman who was going out grabbing her paper, and she said she saw the body of 18-year-old John Clinton right there in the driveway, and that's where their investigation began. And they later found 3 other people deceased in a trailer on the property of the same woman who reported the initial crime. She was living in a house nearby, and so they went ahead and followed the trail of evidence, and they found 3 people in Jacksonville, and they ended up detaining all 3 for questioning. That led them to the escape vehicle they believe was stolen from the original crime scene, as well as a 9mm gun they believe was the murder weapon. They ended up searching another home too, where they found more stolen items, more stolen property, and at this time that is what they say was the purpose of this crime. They think this started as a burglary. They were intending to steal, and then possibly things going south from there. Of course, they are still investigating that, but that is at this time what they're saying they believe was the sequence of events. And we are finding a little bit more about some background information. It's possible that at this time that the deceased John Clinton, 18, was actually meeting up with these suspects now, the people who we mentioned earlier, when they were in the driveway before he was shot, and that's when they moved on to the mobile home where more lives were claimed there. Now, of course, we do have a team of reporters working on this case. We'll be sure to bring you any updates as soon as we can. And that does it for our special report from Cherokee County this morning. Thank you for joining us right here.